I'm the special town council meeting is underway for Monday, November 11th. Time is 6:03 p.m. For the record, all council members except Mr. Wade are present, with 6 or 7 people being present. We have quorum. Council, the first item, the only item is to adjourn to executive session pursuant to section 551.074, personnel matters, and town manager review. Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Motion made by Mr. Crott to adjourn to executive session. There is a second. Second by Mr. Freeman. Everyone heard the motion. All in favor signify. All opposed. Motion passed 6-0. Time is 6:03. We are in executive session.
Go ahead.
So now time is 6:31. I'm going to recess from the executive session and reconvene into the regular session. I can confirm that as a result of the executive session, no action is to be taken, but council can make some comments once they reconvene back at 7 o'clock. At this time, I'm going to take we'll recess up to 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Correct. Thanks, guys. Okay, good evening. Now time is 7 o'clock. Let me reconvene the regular session for Monday, November 11th. Council, we have concluded our executive session on a 6 months review for town manager. I want to make a couple of comments. It took us several months to go through many different candidates to find the right person for the town manager job. As you know, we had many challenges in the past. So this council had we had a new set of members in the council. So between the new council members and the changes and the advancements we wanted to make in our town, we had very high expectations about who we want to bring on board as the town manager. So after extensive search, we have unanimously decided to bring Susan Guthrie as the town manager. So we just completed her 6 months review, maybe a couple of months later. But I got to tell you, she has done a phenomenal job as the town manager of Sunnyvale for the last 8 months. As said, council had very high expectations, but every one of them she has exceeded. The communication between herself and the staff and the council and the citizens have significantly improved. I get so many positive comments about the transparency and the communication town does now. She has a project list which is 13 pages long, active list, and she has 15 or so pages of items closed. So she is going full throttle, and she's been a phenomenal job. Susan, I just want to front of everybody, thank you for the phenomenal job you have done so far. Pretty bigger things for you. So we look forward to the next 1 year.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council?
Mayor and Council, I'd like to echo the Mayor's comments. In that, Susan, we appreciate the work you're doing in our town. It's exceeding the expectation and the vision that we thought was possible. We have our town going in the right direction, and we're grateful for our town is and the leadership that you're directing our town. We thank you very much for all that you're doing for our great town. Thank you.
Continue the same thing, but citizens, you have an A player here. Let me tell you, I've worked with a lot of managers throughout my career, and you were probably one of the best. And so I agree with all the other comments, and so just want to let you know that we appreciate you and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark?
I just want to say thank you, Susan, for coming on board. It's been a pleasure to work with you the last 6 months, and looking forward to many more years of working with you here at Sunnyvale. So thank you very much.
Okay, I think that's, Mr. Freeman.
The one thing that I will add for those of you in the town who don't know this, Susan not only does a great job when she's working, but even when she's out of town, Saturdays, Sundays, anything that ever comes up, she pretty much works 7 days a week at any time. So we have a great one here.
Mayor.
Mr. Egan.
And I just want to thank all the citizens for coming out to be a part of this presentation that we're doing for Ms. Guthrie tonight. I'm sure that this is the only important thing that you're here for tonight, but I'm glad that you got an opportunity and gave us an opportunity, although we took the opportunity, for us to have this discussion with her. Susan, or about Susan, she's done a tremendous job. I've basically worked with 3 town managers in the almost 20 years that I've been involved with this town in some way, shape, form, or another. You know, we thought we had good ones in the past. This one just, it just puts the icing on the cake. I don't know that we could get one, and I hate to blow your balloon up too much, but she's not the type of individual, I don't believe, that is going to take it from that perspective. And Susan, thank you. You support me. I know you support the other town council members the same way. And just thank you for your efforts. We really appreciate it.
Council members, I have a request for you. The last PNC session, when citizens were making comments, if you listen from the other side, there was quite a bit of static. You know, staff looked into it. We are told that the mic is really good. It picks up quite a bit of volume, so you don't have to really pull this towards you. If you can leave it where it is, I think the mic will do a pretty good job. So with that, I'm going to ask that you leave the mic where the staff is. So today is a very special day. You can see I'm wearing red. Red stands for remembering everyone deployed, right, for that specific reason. So before we begin, we have a veteran on the council, Larry Allen, and Mr. Allen will be leading the invocations. Would you please stand with me?
Please stand and pray with me. Bow your heads if you would, please. Father, we thank you for this great day that we can be together in a great country that we live in. Father, we thank you for the freedoms and the liberties that we don't really fully understand how it happened or fully understand where they come from. Father, I want to pray a special blessing tonight on our young men and women that are in different parts of the world. Many of them are the age of our kids that are 17 or 18 years old. Many of them, Father, will not come home, and we take that for granted. Father, I pray a special blessing on those men and women that are protecting our country, and they do so freely and they do so willingly, Father, so that we can serve and live and recognize the things that we have in this town. Father, I'm so grateful to be a part of this community and to be a part of this great country. Thank you, Father, for the blessings that you bestowed upon us. And we didn't earn it, Father. We just get to use it. Father, tonight I pray that you'll be with this town as we make decisions, that we'll be respectful, that we'll be truthful, that we'll be honorable, Father, to our community, to our town. Father, be with us in the council as we make decisions, that you'll give us wisdom. Father, we thank you for all these things that you've given to us. Father, we pray these things in your precious name.
Amen. At this time, I would invite the Boy Scout to come forward, presentation of colors and the pledge of allegiance.
Color guard, attention! Forward, march! Color guard, halt! Cross the colors. Post the colors of the state of Texas. Post the colors of the United States of America. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. color guard, reform. About face, forward, march. Detail, halt, follow.
This time. At this time, I'm going to invite the Sunnyvale School choir to come forward to sing the national anthem and one more song after.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose white stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated.
I'm proud to be an American. God bless our USA. God bless our USA. If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA. There's a pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, God bless our USA, the United States of America. God bless our
Thank you very much, SISD Choir and the Boy Scout for leading and opening today's Veterans Day program. Today is a very special day dedicated to honoring the men and women who have served our country in the military previously. While they may be from different branches of the military and have served in different parts of the world, they all work to protect our freedom while risking their lives. They paid high price and made many sacrifices so that each one of us have the life we are blessed to have, and in many cases received freely. This Veterans Day, let us once again give thanks for the courage and faithfulness of these outstanding men and women. Today in this room, we have many veterans who joined us to celebrate this special day with us. Many of them continue to serve our town as council member or members of boards and commissions, and others serve in various roles in our community. Through their hard work and dedication, they continue to strengthen our community and our government. We are deeply grateful for the services of all these veterans. So on this Veterans Day, please join me in expressing our gratitude to all those who served our nation with honor in our armed forces. At this time, I am going to invite Town Secretary Rachel Ranfield for a special reading.
Tonight's readings are by Joanna Books. I'll be reading two of her readings. The first one is The Noble and the Brave, a Veterans Day Tribute. When America had an urgent need, these brave ones raised a hand. No hesitation held them back. They were proud to take a stand. They left their friends and family. They gave up their normal life. To serve their country and their God, they plowed through the strife. They fought for freedom and for peace on strange and foreign shores. Some lost new friends, some lost their lives in long and brutal wars. Other veterans answered a call to support the ones who fought. Their country had requirements for the essential skills they brought. We salute every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still with us here today, and those who rest in the grave. So here's to our country's heroes. They're a cut above the rest. Let's give the honor that is due to our country's very best. The second one is to take a moment and thank a veteran. When you see someone in a uniform, someone who serves us all, doing a military duty, answering their country's call, take a moment to thank them for protecting you and what you hold dear. Tell them you are proud of them, make it very clear. Just tap them on the shoulder, give a smile and say, thanks for what you're doing to keep us in the USA safe. I personally want to say thank you to all the veterans here tonight and those around the country. I truly appreciate your service.
So at this time, we want to recognize. So I'm going to ask those who are veterans currently serving, and our board members who are vets or currently serving to come to the dais. I'm going to read some names. Richard Atkins, firefighter, saved in the Navy. Richard. Mario Chavez, deputy. He was enlisted between junior and senior high school, then completed senior year. So he was committed way early in his life. Thank you. Council member Larry Allen. I want to recognize his wife, Brenda Allen. She could not be here today, but I want to recognize Brenda as well. King Moss, board member, Vietnam combat veteran. John Pace, board chairperson. Lisa Burton, board member, currently serving in the military, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army for 20 years. Eric Weiss, board member, retired U.S. Army engineer, Operation Iraqi Freedom 2, Desert Sheep and Desert Storm. Fred Clark. Mr. Clark is the father of our council member Kevin Clark, and he's a Vietnam veteran. I'm also going to ask at this time if there are any other veterans present here today. Would you please come forward to be recognized? Thank you again for your service. We want to take a group picture if council and also join me, please. Thank you.
One more time. One last time.
Susan, did I okay? Did I do okay? So we are going to begin our council proceedings. Before I begin, I just want to let you know the applicant Hillwood has requested to table their application for the Lupton development. So if you are here to talk about it, you're still welcome to stay back. But just want you to know that they'll take him back, and council will be later discussing to table this topic for a joint workshop between PNC and council in December. So if you're here to, I recommend that you take a look at the new application when they're ready. If you don't have it, when they're ready, look at it. And if you are still unhappy and have comments about it, I recommend two things. I recommend Hilton to work with the residents because we represent the residents, and I encourage residents to work with the Lupton, not Lupton, I should say Hillwood, to find mutually agreeable solution. That way, council and PNC can make educated judgment and decisions and right policies for the town.
Mayor,
Yes.
at the time that we get to this item in the regular session, it will take a vote of the council to table it, and you'll need to table it to a specific date.
Yes. Okay. We will do that. Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Thanks for the advice. So with that, I want to give Susan a chance. Susan, did you want to make any comments?
I did. I was just going to sneak them in under the announcements. I just wanted to thank you all very much. You know I appreciate working with you and for you. But most importantly, I do want to just say that anything that I do and accomplish is directly related to the work that the staff does. And nothing that's on that project list or anything else that's been accomplished could have been done so without the team that's most of them are here today. So I just really wanted to recognize them and thank them for their support and just incredible hard work over the last 9 months, and just very proud to work with them. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So item number announcements. This is pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 5510415. The mayor, council, and staff may report on the following items: expression of thanks, congratulations and condolences, information about holiday schedules, recognition of individuals, reminders about upcoming town council events, information about community events, announcement involving imminent threat to public health or safety. With that, council, do you have any announcements? Mr. Allen?
Mayor, I just want to remind our town about the upcoming turkey trot on Thanksgiving Day. You don't have to run very far, but the proceeds support our animal shelter, and a great way to get up early in the morning and go walk and get your turkey medal for the first time in Sunnyvale, but more importantly, to support our animal shelter.
Additional comments or announcements? Mr. Clark?
I wanted to tell Sarissa, the football teams, what a great job they did. This last Saturday, we had several teams participate in the football Super Bowl. Kindergarten came up short, first grade came up short. Both very good games. The sixth grade also played, and they won. So they are the Sarissa, they are the football champions, world champions, I believe. So anyways, congratulations. Sarissa has a great program, and good job this year.
Any other announcement from the council? Does staff have any announcements?
Yes, sir. I want to tag on to Councilmember Allen and just reiterate about the turkey trot. If you're one of the first 100 people to register, you do get a medal at the end of the race. And also, if you're one of the first 100 people that morning, you'll get a number that commemorates the race as well. So you can register at townofsunnyvale.org/turkey trot. And it's all over social media, but I do encourage you to register early and to buy a t-shirt. The other thing is, please do save the date for December 6th. That is our tree lighting ceremony, but we're going to be expanding on it. We're going to have showing of Polar Express, so wear your PJs and come enjoy Polar Express. I think, Rachel, are we having live reindeer?
I think we might be having live reindeer.
Yeah, we're having live reindeer, so, plus the tree lighting, plus some arts and crafts, so a lot of fun stuff. So December 6th, it starts at 6:30, but starting at 4 p.m., we're also having a gingerbread house contest. So at 4 o'clock, you can start dropping off your gingerbread house for the judges to start reviewing. So get your creativity cap on, and hope you'll join in on all of those things. Thank you.
Any other staff announcements?
I just want to piggyback off of Susan on your shirts. Make sure you get those orders in by Friday if you want to purchase a turkey trot shirt.
So the race is free. The shirt, the donation for the shirt goes to the animal shelter.
shelter, and the shirts are $25.
Any other announcements? Okay. Sergeant Evans?
I want to piggyback off Susan also. December 6th, we're going to be doing a toy drive, so spread the word and make it something we can be proud of.
Any other piggybacks? All right. Moving on to the public forum. So this is the time town council invites citizens to address the town council on any matter except items on the agenda and public hearing that are included on the agenda. Comments related to the items of the agenda and public hearing will be heard when the specific item hearing starts. Citizens' comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by the law. The council is not permitted to take any action or discuss any item not listed on the agenda. Council may choose to place the item on a future agenda. So if you are here today and you would like to talk to the council on any items, I'm going to ask that you fill in one of these forms. Copies are available right outside the door. Basically, gives our staff a record of who spoke and the address that where they could document their information for the meeting minutes. With that, I'm going to open up the public forum. If anyone from the audience would like to come and speak to the council, please come forward. Councilmember Hill.
Thank you. Karen Hill, 442 Barnes Bridge Road. Just a note of recognition as well, a longtime member, a resident of Sunnyvale, and a member of the chairman of P&Z, Jay Bedford, has passed away. And I just wanted to be sure to recognize him tonight as well. I would like to speak on another topic because you won't be having a public hearing on the Hillwood Lupton application.
Actually, there will be a hearing, yes.
Since you tabled it, you were.
I will definitely have a hearing, yes.
Okay.
The public will have the opportunity.
All right.
Again, if you like to speak, I recommend that. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else would like to come forward? Okay, no one is coming forward, so I am going to close the public forum at this time. Moving on to recognition. Rachel, please, Mr. Guthrie.
Yes, sir. Mayor, I am extremely sad, but also very proud to share with you that Leslie Black, who has served the town of Sunnyvale for 8 years, has been offered a position as the city manager for the town of White House, Texas. It's a really great position. We're very happy for her, but of course, I'm so sad to see her go. I'm going to tell you, I don't think that I've ever worked with somebody who is as good a match for my leadership style and my work style as Leslie has been. Also extremely gracious when I came in to really work side by side with me to get so many projects completed in a really quality fashion. You know, she's really well loved by the community, and that's a very hard thing to fill. But I'm happy for the city of White House and sad for us, but I just really wanted to recognize her years of service and all of her contributions. And anyway, we're very happy for her.
make a couple of comments. I have known Leslie since she came on board. She started several years back. She has taken on a lot in town and held many different positions, including, I want to say she was an interim manager for 3 or 4 times, I can't remember. 2 times, okay, felt like 3. So when we had break in leadership, we have council asked Leslie to step in, and every time we ask her to step in, she has done a very good job as the interim town manager. And I know she always wanted to career growth in that direction. I think she earned it. She learned a lot in town, and she took the necessary training, education as well as college classwork. And Susan came on board, and she was mentoring her as well. This is one thing good about Susan. With that, Leslie, we wish you all that is best. I always said I like to keep, I wish the staff stay for 20 years. So that's me, right? But I understand you're pursuing a career, and this is really great for you. And we sorry to see you missing, sorry to see you leaving, but wish you all that is best.
Maybe I'll just add on, piggyback saying tonight, add on to that. My daughter needed high school volunteer credit. She volunteered up here and was able to work real closely with Leslie, and she would come on every day talking about how great Leslie was. And so that was really, it says a lot about your leadership and about who you are as a person. And so we're going to miss you, and the great thing about it is that the town's reproducing and sending you out to hopefully do things, hopefully you learn things here and you can do them better where you go and improve on that. And so we're going to miss you, but I just thank you so much for your leadership and your servanthood that you've given this town over the years. So thank you very much, Leslie.
Leslie, I'd like to echo the same thing that the mayor and Councilman Finch has already said. Mostly just thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your direction. Thank you for the clarity in the paperwork that you provided our town, which is outstanding. We're going to miss you. White House is getting a great manager, and we wish you the very best. Thank you again for all you've done.
Okay. So I have a plaque. Council wants to give out. Let me read it. In recognition of service to the town of Sunnyvale, Leslie Black, Assistant Town Manager, 2012 to 2019. Thank you for your dedication. Your years of service to this organization are much appreciated. Congratulations on your new job. They're lucky to have you. With that, Council, if you could join me, please, in awarding this plaque. They laugh for a different reason. Yes.
Leslie has a couple family members here tonight, so we'll take a picture of.
Yes. We go, right?
There you go. I'll get one first.
So it's a happy day. Let's keep it this way. Okay, now we are getting to the meat of the agenda. Council, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. Item number 4, to consider approval of minutes for the special meeting of the Town Council for October 14, 2019. Consider approval of minutes for the regular meeting of the Town Council for October 14, 2019. Consider approval of minutes for the special meeting of the Town Council for October 28, 2019. And consider approval of minutes for the regular meeting of the Town Council for October 28, 2019. Would anyone like to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? Oh, there's one more item, item number 8. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Discuss, consider, and act upon Resolution 19-46, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Sanibel, Texas, approving entering into a project-specific agreement for roadway striping for Type B roadways, including the Town East Boulevard, Collins Road, and Tripp Road, made pursuant to Dallas County's Master Road and Bridge Interlocal Maintenance Agreement between Dallas County and the Town of Sanibel, Texas. So, Council, we have item number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Would anyone like to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? If not, can I have a motion to approve consent agenda item 4 through 8 as presented?
Motion approved.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Finch to approve consent agenda item 4 through 8 as presented. So second. Second by Mr. Freeman. Everyone heard the motion? All in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 6-0. Mr. Wade is absent. Moving on to public hearing portion of the agenda. Item number 9, hold a public hearing, discuss and consider, and act upon a request by Lindsay Pearson, Waterman Steel Real Estate Advisors, to approve a specific use designation for a school, private, college or university, Montessori school, used at or about 3705 North Bellland Road, Suite 700. Mr. Jackson.
Mayor, Council, the applicant submitted an application requesting specific use designation to allow for a Montessori school use. The school is noted as Montessori Kids Universe. The Unified Development Ordinance requires specific use designations for this specific type of use to take into account specific location, design configuration of this proposed use. The proposed school is intended for ages 6 months to 6 years. The proposed suite location, Suite 700, in the New Hope Shopping Center, is about 5,000 square feet. And the applicant notes that the spacing is adequate and will meet state requirements for the proposed use. Hours of operation are typical school hours. The applicant intends to create a drop-off area in the rear of the shopping center that would assist with any possible conflicts with regard to traffic in that shopping center area. The proposed play area will be located at the rear of the facility as well, and they noted 2 options with regard to that play area. Staff has provided additional information in the staff memo. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval unanimously, and staff recommends approval as well.
Is the applicant here today? Would you come and join us for me? Good evening.
Good evening.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Lindsay Pearson, 7105 Old Katy Road, Houston, Texas.
Is there anything you would like to add?
No, just that I represent Montessori Kids Universe throughout all of Texas. We have 8 locations in the past 3 years that we've opened. They are a true Montessori curriculum, and they really work hard to make sure that they deliver quality to the neighborhood instead of just quantity in terms of their curriculum.
Is the admission limited to Sunnyvale's residents or students, or is it open to anybody?
It's open to anybody, but we tend to find that people like to go to the higher quality education that's close to their home. So we do intend to open several more throughout the DFW area, but as of right now, this one will be the only one in the Sunnyvale area.
Rashad, I don't know you know this answer or not. Once they graduate from the school, if they are not Sunnyvale residents, is there a requirement that they need to be admitted to Sunnyvale school or something?
No.
I don't believe so, but I'll have to defer to an expert.
That's such a comment, okay. Council, any questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. We have more questions later.
Okay.
At this time, I am going to open the public hearing. If anyone from the audience would like to come forward and speak to the council on item number 9, please come forward. So no one is coming forward, so I am going to close the public hearing. Council, are there additional questions or discussions on item number 9?
Mayor, the thought happened to occur to me about local establishments that serve alcohol relative to where this location is. And I don't know, Rashad, did you get a chance to measure that distance, particularly with respect to Kearney's store? But then you also have the Catfish place that doesn't sell alcohol, but they allow alcohol, or particularly beer and wine, I guess.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware about the beer and wine and Catfish Cove, but as far as Kearney's, they're outside of the...
They're outside of that
Yes.
distance.
And plus, I will note, it doesn't necessarily apply, and Brenda can speak to this as well, if they're existing. Now, the issue would be if the school was there, and then the retailer who sold the alcohol would come in after that.
Yeah, and that one kind of concerns me a little bit too, because at one time, what is now Good and Fine Chicken, they had come through the town for the ability to sell beer and wine, and they were looking at subsequent potentially, and that one's a little bit closer to where this location is.
And that use has changed over, so that no longer applies. If somebody else came in now, and
Yeah.
it's that location, that would be an issue.
Well, and that's what I'm worried about is I appreciate the fact that this is coming in, and I think it's good that the town has something like this. But at the same time, because it's going into a retail shopping center area and an area that's designated for that, are we going to be throttling a potential future use as a result of that because it's so close to the school?
I'll double check this evening while we're here, but I don't believe that the alcoholic beverage code makes it mandatory with regard to private schools. I think that may be up to the council, and so I'm going to look though, if you'll just give me a minute.
Good, thank you, Brenda.
Council, are there additional questions or discussions? So Brenda, while you're looking, so what do you recommend? Yes, sir. Mr. Allen?
When we talked about a UDO 6, 7, 8 months ago, we put a requirement in the UDO for a distance for alcohol from schools. Do we recall if that was a public school?
Public schools and churches.
The UDO was just public school only. Okay.
I think Ms. Brenda is verifying that.
And I'm fairly confident that it's going to be okay because it was public schools. But I don't want to go down this road and then all of a sudden we've bottlenecked future potential retail that might be in that general area because there is some growth going on over there that, whether you like it or not, that's something I don't think we want to lose out on that possible chance.
Mr. Finch?
So today, comment, Mr. Egan, just to clarify, it seems like the landlord would have ultimate, just trying to play this through, the ultimate decision on kind of what he's doing to his establishment or his building, right? And so I'm just trying to play that through as far as what we would be throttling. Would be more to the landlord to recognize the possible risk.
I don't disagree with that, but the location is a location. Let's say if GFC was a little bit better accessed and a different restaurateur went in there, or let's say they just remodeled the whole building. I just wanted to be sure that we understand that if somebody were to go in there in an area that's fairly well designated kind of as a retail area, that the school itself doesn't, it prohibits anything from happening in the future. It's okay now, I totally understand that. but I don't want to throttle something that might happen in the future because, oops, now we've got a school there.
Mr. Freeman?
I'm going to throw this out. There's a mathnasium in that same shopping center. Is that considered a school? It's not considered, I mean, it's just considered retail because of designation? Okay, so that was my concern. If that was
And that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, it's right there, 2 doors down.
But I'd rather we get good legal backing behind moving forward than to go like, oops, we didn't catch that, you know, stuff like that.
I have the answer. So the provisions regarding private school or daycare only apply to those businesses that do not hold a food and beverage certificate. So it would be a beer and wine store or a liquor store, but not restaurants.
So if a Chili's wanted to go in there, that wouldn't be a problem. Good.
That's
All right. That's kind of where we wanted to go anyway.
Council, are there additional questions or discussions on this topic? Okay, now can I have a motion with respect to item number 9?
Motion to approve agenda item number 9 is presented.
Motion made by Mr. Finch to approve item number 9 as presented. Is there a
Second.
Did you second? Mr. Clark seconded it. Everyone heard the motion? Are there additional discussions? All in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 6-0. Moving on to item number 10. Hold a public hearing to consider and act upon an appeal request by Brian Carlo, Hilbert Development to approve Ordinance 19-30, the first reading of an ordinance amending Ordinance 17-09, being the Town of Sunnyvale Unified Development Ordinance by changing the future land use plan and zoning classification of an approximately 547.148 acre tract of land situated in the J. Johnson Survey, abstract number 696, the Java Survey, abstract number 1581. I'm going to skip all the abstracts here. So the Town of Sunnyvale, Dallas, Texas, from estate, residential, and low density residential to medium density residential, and from SF2 and SF3 to SF4 plan development, left-hand track PD, providing for approval of a concept plan and the adoption of a development regulations, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, providing a penalty clause, and providing an effective date. Mr. Jackson?
Mayor, Council, as was noted earlier in the meeting, the applicant does plan to table this or request to table this request. I will note that the Unified Development Ordinance allows the applicant the right to appeal the denial. I will also note that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial of this request. The proposed developments and zone changes are required to adhere to our future land use plan. Staff will note that the applicant has developed in accordance with the SF4 zoning district and varied from that, which the Planning Development Zoning District allows you to do. In their best ability, has created a cluster development in order to maintain as much of the existing terrain as possible on the site. Changes may be made to the future land use plan if it is believed that the change is more appropriate than what was initially proposed for the area. If this is moving forward, a development agreement will need to be completed and approved by town council, if so that happens. And this information was also told to the Planning and Development Commission, and they're comfortable to deny the request. The applicant is here to speak on his behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Applicant, Mr. Carlo. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Town Council. I don't know if this is a piggyback, but as a veteran, I wanted to say thank you to you, the Scouts, and the choir for coming out. That was a special ceremony, and I appreciate certainly people in towns that honor their veterans and their service, so thank you for that. I would ask tonight, by the way, Brian Carlock, Senior Vice President, Hillwood Communities, 3000 Turtle Creek Boulevard, Dallas, Texas, 75219.
Thank you, Mr. Carlo.
Yes, sir. I would ask for your consideration to table agenda item 19095, since the Planning and Zoning Commission, I've been able to consider the objections that were raised at the P&Z, and am currently working to address these objections by substantially modifying our plan. In order to refine the modifications to develop development plans and the details in the proposed PD ordinance, I request that item 19095 be tabled this evening to be discussed in a follow-on workshop and then a follow-on town council to consider the modified plan. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. So I have, I'm going to open the public hearing at this time. I have 6 people attending. I'm going to read it. I may be saying this incorrectly. Sam Pintula, 243 Barnesbridge Drive, Sunnyvale, Texas, 75118.
Mr. Mayor, if you would be so kind to allow me to defer my time to the end of the public hearing so that I can limit repetition as there are a number of folks that would like to speak.
Sounds good. Thank you. Next one is Garrison Irving.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, residents, thank you for your time. Before I get started, I would like you all to remember the number 17. I'm concerned this plan development, or PD, has substantial deviations from the town's approved comprehensive plan. The PD does meet one of the 9 goals, the 55 and over community, however, does not conform to Sunnyvale's small town character at the proposed location. The impacts of this PD not only affect Barnesbridge Road and Town East residents, but it will also impact all residents of Sunnyvale. I strongly urge the council to reject this PD and rather allow the tract to be developed under the current UDO as approved by the town. This PD will violate 3 of the 7 reasons for zoning for our town's UDO. This PD will 1, increase congestion in the streets, 2, overcrowd the land, and 3, result in a high concentration of population in the heart of our town. The agenda states the current zoning of this PD is SF2 and SF3. However, I would like to strongly emphasize that over 99% of the land is currently zoned SF2 or estate residential, making the small sliver of SF3 negligible for further conversations. I have given the council documents that include 3 graphs showing some of the dimensional variations requested: setbacks, lot width and depth, and overall lot size. These variations requested by Hillwood are egregious in their nature, well outside of the current SF2 zoning, and not even within the UDO standards for SF4 or medium density residential. This PD best meets the definition of SF5, high density residential, per our UDO. Make no mistake, Hillwood is requesting to rezone 547 acres in the heart of our town to the zoning district intended for high density, single family, small lot homes. Instead of 1 home per acre, this PD would result in 4 to 6 homes per acre lot. So where does this development fit in our town of Sunnyvale? Looking at our town's current zoning map and the future land use map, land that is currently zoned for medium to high density is located either west of Beltline or south of Highway 80. Town Council, let's keep it that way. This PD would be the first ever medium to high density development in the town of Sunnyvale that is directly adjacent to rural residential and estate residential property. Anything but rejecting this PD will erode our rural town character, which we hold dear. Due to Hillwood's drastic deviations, from the town's own comprehensive plan and UDO, I respectfully request members of the town council to unanimously reject the proposal for this development on the Lupton tract. Tabling the matter is not a viable option because the proposed PD and our town standards cannot be bridged by small changes. Myself and many others welcome and are open to Hillwood proposing a plan that, 1, adheres to the goals of the comprehensive plan and the UDO, 2, builds to the current SF2 zoning with 1+ acre lots and 0 deviations from the UDO, 3, minimizes safety and traffic impacts in the heart of our town by selecting a location closer to major roadways. If council votes to table, I respectfully request that they choose a date that is not in close proximity to the holiday season, as many citizens will be traveling. And in closing, in honor of Veterans Day, I would like to highlight a critical number, 17. On average, 17 veterans per day take their own lives and commit suicide. I urge all of you after this meeting, please reach out to your friends, family, and neighbors who are veterans. Let them know that you care about them, that you love them, and that we are a grateful nation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Irvin. Next is Robert Beard.
I'll defer for the time being.
Thank you very much. Laura Becker. Lauren Becker, sorry. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. My name is Lauren Becker. I reside at 304 Counties Boulevard, here on behalf of my husband, Will Becker, and myself. I understand Hillwood's appeal for a zoning change has been tabled, but it has not been rejected. A request for any change in zoning should be decided only after public hearings, and as this appeal and application remains active, it is right for public comment. So thank you for that opportunity tonight. Let me start by saying that I believe Town Council should reject this zoning change outright. Our existing zoning is there for a reason. We all relied upon it in our decisions to move to Sunnyvale and purchase our property here, and there is no reason to vary from it. To go from straight SF2 zoning to an SF4 base PD would be a huge departure from this town's carefully contemplated plan for the future of Sunnyvale. I want to make sure that all of us understand the significance of a decision to change the zoning from this property from straight SF2 estate residential to anything else. There are unique natural characteristics to this property that need to be highlighted as a driving reason why we must maintain straight zoning to focus on lot size as opposed to units per acre. Here's why this matters. A straight SF2 zoning ordinance, the property's current zoning, requires 1 acre lots. Under its proposed development, however, Hillwood gets to use gross acres to calculate density. For residents in attendance, that means they divide the number of rooftops into the entire property, even if they can't or aren't putting houses on all of that land. This 547-acre tract includes Duck Creek on its eastern quadrant and tributary creek bottoms that run throughout the property. Those of us who live here know that Duck Creek floods. That tree canopy, I've said before, is pretty from Hillwood's aerial drone marketing footage, but it's pretty much worthless from a development standpoint. Hillwood knows this. It hasn't even put trails over there in the concept plan. Yet, they can stand up and misrepresent that their development somehow results in a density of 1.1 units per acre when they have asked for 55-foot wide lots for half of their proposed rooftops, or a density of 6 units an acre. Take away the largely undevelopable 300 acres of open space, and we are actually talking about 625 rooftops on 247 acres. Let's conceptualize that. When fully built out under the concept plan, the Homestead PD will be 495 rooftops. We're not even there yet. If you exclude Homestead's 75 acres of open space, those rooftops will be on 297 developed acres. So comparing this Lupton proposal and Homestead for density purposes, Lupton fully built out would be 130 more rooftops on 50 fewer acres than all at Homestead. But if we adhere to our comprehensive plan and insist on a development with straight SF2 zoning, we are assured at least 1 acre lots. In other words, if only 247 acres is actually being developed, that means no more than 247 rooftops. Hillwood representatives can try and scare us by saying if it's not them, it may be a developer of lower regard. But we can visualize what a neighborhood looks like when the developer is requesting a monumental density change with a variance allowing it to repeat front elevations every 5 houses. They tout 300 acres of open space, yes, they can't adhere to an ordinance requiring them to plant 2 trees in a yard because the yards are too small for them to fit. You see, it's not a small jump if we amend zoning at all, let alone to an SF4 base PD that Hillwood is requesting. It's a whole different ballgame that values the developer instead of the land and our town's resources. Simply put, the consequence of changing zoning for this property from straight SF2 to state residential to even a low residential PD with a 1 unit per acre density is the addition of at least 300 more rooftops. That's 547 rooftops versus 247. To allow a change in zoning or a PD here allows the Lupton tract to take the place as the second largest and most dense development in Sunnyvale. I haven't talked to a single Sunnyvale resident who is in favor of that. I know hundreds of them who oppose it. That begs the question from constituents. Why should town council table this current proposal so that Hillwood can make revisions to it? Why are we using Hillwood's current proposal that was unanimously rejected by our Planning and Zoning Commission as a starting point in public negotiations? Whatever Hillwood comes back with, if it's anything other than straight zoning of SF2, we are looking at creating the second largest development in Sunnyvale. Your constituents are speaking clearly to you, the town council, that we do not want anything other than what is consistent with our comprehensive plan and UDO for this property, SF2. Finally, in the last couple weeks, Hillwood has sent a form letter to some property owners asking those residents what they want for this development. I had a few friends forward the letter to me with the remark, why was the developer reaching out to them now? At this point in its application process, hadn't Hillwood been interested in this property for over 2 years and already submitted its application and been rejected unanimously by P&Z, and nonetheless decided to press forward with an appeal of this extreme density variance? The views of Sunnyvale homeowners were made clear to Hillwood, I guess, for the first time at that P&Z meeting. They know our wish of acreage lots, and this is consistent with the governing and vision documents adopted only 2 short years ago that are supposed to guide this town's development going forward. I also heard this. In a perfect world, town council should know my wants, and the developer can discuss it with them. I thought about that for a while. And you know what? The town actually did that. When it held public workshops to come up with its comprehensive plan and UDO, it did that. When it spent $223,000 for Freeze and Nichols consulting services in connection with the town's comprehensive plan and UDO, it did that. One other thing to point out, the town's goal of a 55+ planned community is not inconsistent with current future zoning. In fact, that goal was set in the same document where we see future use zoning set out for this Lupton tract. To suggest that the town's goal and existing zoning are incompatible is counterintuitive, considering we paid an expert consulting firm hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure this is a cohesive, comprehensive plan. That goal is just not to be met with the development of this tract. I've had a lot to say up here about this zoning change request because I'm a concerned citizen who loves this town so much. But really, I hope this is an easy decision for town council to deny this planned development. The town of Sunnyvale and this town council have spent a significant amount of time, money, and resources in adopting our comprehensive plan and UDO just 2 recent years ago. These goals and rules were reached after considering all of the current development already going on in our town and our remaining most valuable natural resource, our land. One of our town leaders told me this the other day, and I have to steal the thought and say it again because it's spot on. The remaining land in Sunnyvale is so valuable because we're the only community inside Dallas County where you can find an acre or more to build on just 14 miles east of downtown. This land is zoned an acre plus for a reason, so we can make the best use of our most valuable diminishing resource. I don't see that Hillwood has offered any justification for this massive departure from our comprehensive plan in our UDO. Please deny this planned development. Thank you for your time.
So we got a few more people turning the names. I'm going to request one thing. There are a lot of people listening. I'm going to request that you stay away from the mic. Mic is pretty good to pick up. If you get too close to the mic, so the people who are listening to you cannot hear a thing. It's very quite static. With that, I'm going to invite Charles Anderson to come forward. Good evening, Mr. Anderson.
Hello. Mayor, Council, hope I'm not too close. Charles Anderson, 281 Brookwood Forest, 19-year resident of the homestead. I'm here with my wife, Karen. I may be in a bit of a minority, but I hope this is a little bit of a difficult decision for you tonight. There were a lot of things I liked about this zoning case. I want to reiterate those, understanding that it's going to be substantially different if you vote to table it and they do come back. So that said, I want to talk about the things that I really like. And I appreciate the little get-together we had to find out what this was like here in this council about a month ago. First of all, I really like the idea of maintaining the trees along Town East. That is so important for the feel of this town, the dense trees, the forest along Town East. Whatever development we get, to me, that maintains the small town, the rural town feel. Critically important. The developer was behind that. So I wanted to put that front and center. That's not something we would necessarily get under the UDO. The cluster zoning is going to maintain, if we don't count even the floodway, it's going to maintain approximately 100 acres of trees. Well, I don't know how many people in Sunnyvale like to watch the birds. We get lots of those visitors in our backyard. Taking away 100 acres of trees, which you would under the UDO, is going to diminish what we like about this town, which is those avian visitors. I want to say I'm very much in favor of the age-restricted community for a number of reasons. First of all, it might be an option for us. Secondly, and this is probably really important to me, is that this development, and I'm just going to use approximate numbers here, of 300 houses at approximately $300,000 a house, and you do the math, and it comes out to $90 million, and you take the exemptions. If they're like the exemptions I get on my house, knock that back to about $80 million. You look at the current school tax, this is about $1 million a year for the school district. Well, you know, the school district is what really makes this town special. I love what y'all do here. The school district with its top rating is fantastic, and I think that's why a lot of people are moving here. It's something to be very proud of. And this is a bird's nest on the ground, in my opinion, to have that kind of community with those age-related communities, and they're going to put such a small load, little if any, on the school district. That's a huge win for the city. Also, the traffic from these communities, I know since I've been retired for about 3 years, tends not to be at rush hour. I worked for 40 years, faced rush hour twice a day. I'm not doing that anymore. It's great. Let me say the 5-mile trail system that was proposed, going to be built by private money, maintained by private money. I love that. It's going to be open to the public. I want to use that. The opportunity to use the development agreement, this could solve some of the problems that we have with the traffic on Mitchell. I get things on next door all the time, people speeding, running stop signs. I really appreciate the developer said that they would arrange the intersection for us at Mitchell and Town East so that you couldn't get out of the development down there. We might be able to work with them to speed bumps or actually even closing Mitchell at one end or the other to stop that traffic, which just sounds really awful for those residents. So very much my thought goes out to them. And I do think it's important. I've seen over my career a lot of developers come in. Some of them are better than others. Hillwood is one of the better ones. They're around. They will be around for the future. And I think they will probably do this right. So hopefully keep those ideas in mind as that is reworked in the system. But if you are going to look at it tonight, please put my wife and I down as one of the residents, maybe one of the few, who are in favor of the development as presented. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. We invite Mr. Karen Hill. Could you read Mr. Hill again?
Thank you. Karen Hill, 442 Barnes Bridge. As many of you know, I was greatly involved in the comprehensive plan and the development of the UDO. And I really wholeheartedly believe that it needs to be followed and that the residents want to see larger lots, 1 to 5 acre custom homes, not the homes that are limited to 5 elevations that can't repeat to our own ordinance of 1,000 feet. I think that that is something that would be very detrimental to our community. Dree's Home has admitted that they will not be honoring that 1,000-foot ordinance for repetition of elevation. Where else will they be asking for additional variances? Secondly, Hillwood is the 3rd developer to work with the Luptons on this property. Perhaps they don't need to be the last one. Sunnyvale is won a zoning suit on their planning and zoning in 1996 after 11 years. It took a long time. Longtime citizens are very proud of that fact that we won that case through the Texas Supreme Court, and I feel like that needs to be continued to be honored. The 55-plus community, I haven't spoken to a single person over 55 that wants to live in a 2-story house. Even if you put out the money to put an elevator in it, most people still are not very interested in that. Sunnyvale also has ordinances against front entry garages, and this application includes that. I would feel like they would need to build alleys if they want to simplify and not have J-hook drives. Also, 55-plus citizens want to be near something, predominantly stores, restaurants, activities for themselves to be able to go to, or even within walking distance that they don't have to drive. At certain points, they do stop driving. And I think our Sunnyvale Center, with the application for its planned development, fits that bill a lot more than this particular piece of property does, since there is not going to be any adjacent retail area to this property that's being developed at the same time. Town East is going to be widened to a 4-lane, and Barnes Bridge will always remain a 2-lane. And I feel like that there should not be an exit and entrance onto Barnes Bridge because of that. The load of traffic on that street, which we all know is, once that bridge is repaired and reopened, will be a cut-through street again, just like we see on Collins. But I do believe that we need to have 2 entries, points of entry and exit on Town East for that. And also, we're not going to be able to save the trees on that north side of Town East unless the town is now planning for that widening to make it a divided parkway with those trees in the middle. Otherwise, they're going to be gone, just like what happened out here in order to widen Collins, because there's not enough room there. So I don't know if all of those setbacks have been truly measured out and planned for. Also, I didn't ever see anything in the presentation at the P&Z on what type of incentives were being offered to the town, which is part of the requirement for a planned development. We don't need any more park space. We don't need any more open land to maintain. We certainly don't want any floodplain land, but I did not hear or see anything in the presentation that showed a true incentive to the community as a whole. And I was very disappointed in that as well. And I think that seeing 1 to 5 acre homes will actually increase the chances of keeping the amount of trees that are currently located on this property and maintain its beauty the way it is right now with the larger lots. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Karen Cox. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Sam Pinto, do you want to come back? That's the last of the cards they have. Anyone else would like to come and speak? We'll encourage you to fill up that card and turn it in, please.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Sam Pendiel. I reside at 243 Barnes Bridge Road. And in light of wanting to be transparent, I'm also the owner of the Sunnyvale Speaks Facebook page. I wanted to speak today on my own behalf, as well as those that have shared with me their comments and concerns about this development. One of the things that I want to mention is the impact of this development will be far-reaching. What I mean by that is I know the letter of the law states that there is notice to be given within so much proximity from the actual development. However, this particular development will affect the entire town. And so it is unfortunate that there are many folks who will be impacted, maybe not directly as those that are living on Barnes Bridge or Town East. They will be impacted, albeit indirectly. And I want to share a few ways that folks, whether directly or indirectly, will be impacted. The first that I want to mention has to do with a philosophical impact. And I mentioned this at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I mentioned the idea of setting a precedent. Now, the town attorney did state that each developer will be required to qualify based on their own merit and not any precedent. I do want to say that I do agree with that statement. I do agree with the fact that it will not set a precedent in principle. However, it will set a precedent in spirit. As a matter of fact, at the Planning and Zoning meeting, Hillwood referred numerous times to the Homestead development as well as the Stony Creek development. If it is for the purposes of qualifying on their own merit, then referring to other developments are not necessarily applicable. However, it does happen in spirit. The other statements that I would like to make as far as the impact goes has to do with a practical impact. Of course, some of those are being reconsidered by the developer as well as town staff. But I want to emphasize that there are a number of areas where we can have impact. One of those will be the school. Now, I know Doug Williams is a friend of mine, and he's consulted with some of our folks as far as their concerns in regards to this development. We all understand that the non-age restricted portion of this development will contribute in terms of children to the population in our school district. However, one of the things that may not be considered is the fact that you do have a portion of the age-restricted 55-plus development that may contribute to the attendance in our school district. because there is a state law that allows for grandparents that provide after-school substantial care that enables them to enroll their students in the local school district. Now, it will be difficult for us to project what kind of impact or numbers that may mean, but we know that that can increase the numbers in terms of our consideration for the impact to our school. The other impact will be to our infrastructure. We already know, as I have 2 children, having to take them to school, I know of the difficulty that we have getting into and out of the area. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, this will affect everyone, not just the folks around the development. Our roads, our bridges, I do live on Barnes Bridge. As a matter of fact, as we speak, the bridge is out of service, and so that does create some challenges for us. With the increased traffic, it will expedite the need to expand our infrastructure, of which I don't believe we will be able to do fast enough. One of the things that I mentioned at the Planning and Zoning meeting was in regards to a flood study. Now, I know as a developer myself that all flood studies are comprehensive. However, when I mentioned at the Planning and Zoning meeting at the request a comprehensive flood study, it was mentioned that we will not order a subpar flood study. And I want to specify the fact that while all are comprehensive, Duck Creek affects a great portion of Sunnyvale, from Beltline all the way to the far east side of the town. And if you know water, you may do a comprehensive flood study within a certain proximity, but it will affect people that are far outside of that proximity where the study was done. So I'm not only asking for a comprehensive flood study, I'm also asking for a study that will consider the breadth of Duck Creek. Because my property actually backs up to this creek, and I have seen it flood. The other area of concern has to do with water pressure in the town. It also has to do with the sewer in the town. I do know that my particular residence, and I don't know if this is the case for the entire town, but I know that my sewer goes to Garland. I don't know how much, if Garland is allowing any more tie-ins to their municipality for the purposes of sewer, but I do know that that is a challenge that needs to be considered. The demands that this development, they are proposing a total of 625 homes, rooftops, which will of course increase the population substantially. The demands that that would have on our fire and police as well. I don't know if there have been any conversations with any of those departments, but that is a concern of mine as our resources are thin as we are trying to develop our own police force. One of the things that I want to mention too is that I have received comment from some of our individuals that live within this proximity of this development. One of the comments was, consider suggesting a town-wide town hall meeting that is open to the public to allow all citizens the opportunity to review and contribute ideas for this development. So we ask that the council consider that if possible. And finally, I do want to close with this statement. There is money to be made here, but I don't want it to be at the expense of the residents of the town. Because long after the developer is gone, we could be left holding the bag, so it is imperative that we count the cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pangella. Do you have any more comments, sir? Yes, sir.
You just filled that out.
Yes, sir. No problem. No problem. We'll get that from you.
Just going to try to save him the walk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rachel, want to announce his name, please?
Mr. Dave Burrows.
Good evening, sir.
Your Honor, Council people, I'm one of the old geezers of this area. In fact, Milford Thurl had your job when we moved out here in about 35 years ago. I'm not an orator, some of my previous folks did. I am smart enough, although, to understand that a good speaker, there are 3 items. They stand up to be seen, they speak up to be heard, and they sit down to be appreciated. I want to make only one solid point, because having dealt with council people before, they use buzzwords such as due diligence. The due diligence that I have in mind is that with this 625 lots, homes, and you can check with your due diligence, the average in the United States is 1.92 small vehicles per home site. That amounts to, if I can see this, 1,231 vehicles. You probably know that already, but I want to bring it to the point. Barnes Bridge, as we know, or as I understand, is being redone to the tune of 2 lanes of maybe about 3 million, as I understand, and that maybe Sunnyvale has to pony up maybe 300,000, about 10% is my understanding. That 2-acre bridge won't handle this. Trust me. I hate to use that term, but trust me. About 20 years ago, when they were widening I-30 from Rockwall, I stood before the group and said, you don't have an exit going on to the interstate. They said, there wasn't enough traffic. Tell me about it. We know where it is now, what I-30 is. I firmly believe, I've mentioned it before, that not in my lifetime, but I believe there will have to be another bridge going across, probably by the power plant, to go over to Heath on the other side. So that if Barnes Bridge, Duck Creek Bridge is only 2-lane, there's something missing there. But that's all I had to say, was mainly the amount of cars that this influx will bring. 1,231, and that's in metropolitan area. We know the influx that Dallas and our Dallas County has in general enjoys right now. And as another Dallasite mentioned to me, they'll never catch up. We'll be another New York City. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there anyone else who would like to come forward? Okay, no one coming forward. I'm going to close the public hearing. Council, are there any comments from your side?
First off, I'd like to thank all the folks from the town showing up. Always appreciate the participation. All of the information that we've been sent via emails, all of the forms that have been filled out. We definitely do appreciate your feedback, and thank you very much. This is a difficult decision, being that, you know, I've grown up here. This is the town that I live in. I chose to move back here. We did come up with a comprehensive plan, and it is good that we want to stick by that. And I think Hillwood has understood that what they came with the first time was not good enough. My personal opinion is giving them a shot to go back, and if they come up with something that does work, then fine. But I think that they've heard from the town, kind of what the town wants, what the town needs, and anything that they come back with that's less than that will probably meet the same end as what you came up up with the first time. So I'm all for giving them another shot to go back. That being said, I think you understand where the town's at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Are there additional comments from the council? Mr. Egan?
Mayor, I tend to concur with Jonathan. I think it's important, though, that we provide information not only to Hillwood, but to whoever a subsequent developer might be. That's a little more pointed, I guess I should say. I mean, the comprehensive plan, the UDO, is pretty straightforward, but I think now that we have some pieces of the puzzle that Hillwood has put together, I think it's an opportunity that we can say, look, this isn't quite the way we envisioned it. You know, the glass bubble of what is described in the UDO, it's just that it's a glass bubble, and until somebody starts bringing us something and starts saying this is how we can manipulate and what have you, then we don't get a chance to really define what's inside that glass bubble. And saying that, you know, we did put 55 and over, age restricted, whatever terminology that we put into the UDO and the comp plan. We did put that in there, but we didn't say where in town it goes. And as Ms. Hill mentioned when she came up, I think she's more in line of being right, that the age-restricted area, and some of you may not like this, but I think that when you look at the character of the town as a whole, and we're a very small town, when you look at the character of the town as a whole, that age-restricted area, I believe, goes further south. Because the character of Barnes Bridge, and this is something that in some of our preliminary workshops the council had with the developer, which we may not have given you just real clear instruction. Trust me, this isn't all on you. It may be somewhat on us too. But now in this form, now that we have something official, because the workshops weren't official. Those were paintings on boards hanging on a wall, and very, very well done and very, very good, but it wasn't official until you actually brought it to P&Z the first time. P&Z denied it. I don't think they gave enough instruction to you as to why they denied it. So my thoughts are, and others can agree with me, is, or disagree, please feel free to, you know, moving the age-restricted area further south in town where there is going to be more commercial retail that those people can use. Keeping the large estate-type design properties along Barnes Bridge, because that's the character of Barnes Bridge. I remember when that terminology first came up about, I want to say Connie Pullen talked about that about 1983. And the town went through a lot of, again, I'll say something that a lot of people may not get tired of hearing me say. I've lived here for 40 years in the same house. My wife and I have, next to a couple of people that are sitting right behind you who lived here about 6 months longer than we have. And we all fought hard through all those years to ensure that Barnes Bridge and the character of Barnes Bridge stayed as it is. And that's what we want to see happening. Terminology, I was talking with somebody today, transitional development, where you basically start at the north end of town and you work your way to the south end of town, and you're transitional. You're coming after other people that have already been here, but you're transitioning from the estate development type like you see along Barnes Bridge. As you move south, if you tend to match the character of the developments that are already here as you move south, at least between Barnes Bridge and Town East. East and west, you've got a huge buffer zone as a result of the Duck Creek and Duck Creek floodplain going to the east. And going to the west, well, you've got a good flat area there that doesn't have the topography, doesn't have the character, and it's going to take a lot of real thinking in order to try to achieve this environment that we want, what this definition is inside the glass bubble. Tana Creek is another real good example of what initially was started out to be, the initial request was for 78 homes, 78 lots. And it was through a negotiation and through discussion with that developer that we got it to be what it is now. And that tends to, while it's more dense than what generally Barnes Bridge is, it tends to fit the topography, the area much better than what has been laid out here with the Hillwood proposition. So and I'm sorry for belaboring this, but I just would hope that if you guys feel that you can make that jump, I would like to hear if you still would want to be on a tabled request. And if so, would you be willing to go back through P&Z with what you're coming up with? I'm understanding we're thinking of a workshop with P&Z. It's not to beat P&Z up. It's that I don't think that we should allow you to make major changes, significant changes, without having gone back through the loop again. Minor changes, tweaks here, tweaks there, I can understand. But minor changes, tweaks here, tweaks there, ain't gonna cut it.
Mr. Eager, I think it's up to the council to decide whether it should be sent to the PNC. In my opinion, it should go back to PNC, but we'll come back to this.
Right, and I just wanted to bring that up for the purposes of council as a thought process to go through. Again, I want to give any developer an opportunity. And I think Hillwood's a good opportunity for us. It's just a matter of whether or not, in the end, that we end up with a term I really, really hate, a win-win situation for both of us. And you heard some of that here tonight. Let's make sure that when Hillwood is out of it, that Sunnyvale has what we need out of it, because we're the ones that have to live with it.
Just for record, Ms. Ramsey, would you note that Mr. Clark, he has a flight to catch, so he has left at 8:38.
Yes, sir.
Council, other additional comments on this topic? Ms. Allen?
Mayor, first of all, I want to say thanks for everybody that took the time out of their night to come. This is a town decision. Second, I want to give you my new email. It's ryanfinch@gmail. I'm just kidding. We have received more emails than you guys can possibly imagine, and we certainly appreciate that. However, tonight, you've given us the same data that we've heard before, and I appreciate that. What I want to say is that our discussions and considerations with other people are not being made in a bubble. We're not considering not our schools. I believe our schools are the most valuable asset of this town. Not considering Town East or Barnes Bridge. I live on Town East. But the Barnes Bridge people want everybody on Town East. The Town East people want everybody on Barnes Bridge. UDO says 1 acre, and some people say I want 5 acres with chickens and horses. So we have a real dilemma of reality and what's best for our town and what's best for our schools. And I only tell you that because I want you to be aware that there's a lot of discussions going on in our town, and most of it is what was echoed tonight, and I appreciate that. But we have to stay within reality of what this development is going to look like, and it certainly says 1 acre lots. I'm not opposed to representing our constituents, you guys, plus the other people, at the 1 acre lot level. But also I'm a realist that at some point someone's going to get really close, whether it's today or 2 years or 4 years from now, and they're going to present something that might be really pretty good, less than 1 acre. And at some point, our town needs to take a look at this from the Barnes Bridge perspective, from the Duck Creek perspective, from the Homestead perspective, and say, hey, does this benefit all of us? Many of you I've talked to said, hey, come look at my back door. Because we failed to negotiate with somebody at one time. I ended up something in my backyard that I wasn't expecting. That's on me, because I dropped the ball in discussions and negotiations as a resident. So I'm going to encourage you guys to be involved in this process actively, so that whatever happens, that you're not caught off guard. I do want to say, I want to kind of echo, I hate to echo this, but I'm going to repeat sort of what Councilman Egan said. We have had some workshops in discussing about a year ago, and there were a lot of people there that were in favor of the senior development. Now, there was a lot of discussion about what that looked like, and I, for one, wasn't in favor of 7,000 square foot lots, but those discussions reached a point to where we are today, and maybe, I don't know, but maybe that senior development needs to be somewhere else for the density. I'm not making that decision, But our UDO does say that, and Defense of Hillwood, they took that discussion. It wasn't just council, there were some residents in our town too that echoed that. So I'm going to defend Hillwood a little bit on that density for the senior living and just say maybe it's not part of where we need to be today. I don't know that. But maybe it doesn't need to be there. The other thing I want to defend Hillwood on is this. I work with the Hillwood Slant Pro Group and the aviation industry, and I can tell you they're first class. Hands down, they are first class organization. I'm not telling you that so that you can say, hey, we have to buy this because Larry said this is first class, because you don't. But I do want to build some equity in the fact that this developer so far, with all the other groups that we've worked with, is a first class organization. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, we're going to support you guys and it doesn't work. I'm okay with that. But there's a lot of emotion involved in tonight's discussion, a lot of emotion in the emails I'm getting, like a lot of emails I'm getting, and I appreciate that. But if Hillwood produces a product at some point, or another developer produces a product at some point, I think it's incumbent upon us to listen. Hey, can we live with that? I'm just throwing that out there for discussion. I will say this, that to me the bottom line is what we decide as a town has to protect our schools. I did not move here, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I didn't move here for horses, I didn't move here for chickens, I moved here for the schools. That's me. And the schools are paramount to this town, and we have to protect the schools. If that's density, if that's homes, if that's financials, I believe that we have to protect our schools. So that's a lot of rambling. You guys have heard all this stuff before, but I will tell you this, that there's no doubt that the men that sits behind this desk are going to represent you guys, that we have had discussions with many of you, and we're not going to let it fall on deaf ears. So don't leave tonight thinking we're not going to represent you. Don't leave tonight thinking we're just going to throw it in the trash can and be done. But I also encourage you to be here when it's discussed, to be a part of the process, to say, hey, we're done. We don't want this, or maybe this is good. And I don't know how that looks. To Hillwood, I would say, hey, you heard a lot tonight. And I think you have to come back with something that matches what these people say, because we're kind of under the gun. That we need to represent our town, represent our school, and represent our community. And me, for one, I'm going to do my best to do that. So I think you guys have heard that. If there's ways to work through this, I'm on board. And if we can't, it just didn't work out. I'm okay with that too. Thank you guys again for coming out tonight. My email one more time is ryanfinch@gmail. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys very much.
Mr. Finch?
So just a couple of comments, not to reiterate everything that's said here. Again, thank you residents for coming out, and thank you for letting us hear your voice. I've read every email and I've talked to many of you on the phone at length about this, and so I appreciate the debate. I appreciate the comments and the perspective you've given, because it does help me. I'm not a developer. I represent you, and so I do appreciate the constant feedback on that. I will start off by saying that if we decide to table this, to which I am in favor of, it is not an endorsement of this plan. It is an endorsement of the fact that we want to work to a better plan. And so I want to make that clear, that if we do vote to do this for myself, it is not an endorsement of this plan. I do not like the current plan, but I am hopeful that this is part of negotiation. And those of you in business know it's a negotiation, and that's what this is all about. And so I'm hopeful that they've heard us, and that they'll come back with something that we can really look at and really consider. But I just want to make that clear. Also, having been on the school board, I do recognize, as my fellow council members have said, we all know why 90% of us have come here, and it is our job to protect it as much as we can, and so that is always mindful. And so, again, just really appreciate the feedback, and we're working to represent you. And it is a tough thing to work through these details, because that's what it's all about, is the details. And so just be patient with us, but understand we hear you. And if we table it, it is not endorsement. It is only part of the negotiation process.
I don't have too much to add to it, but a couple of things I will say. Again, thank you each one of you for the emails, repeated emails, group emails, very similar message with TNC. I heard every bit of it. I chose not to be here, but I sat in my house and listened to every bit of it. I don't want a mayor to be in this meeting, that's all. But I listened to every single comment, every email, and I represent you at the end of the day. I told Brian always, at the end, I represent the people. It's not an absolute technical decision, it's a policy decision. Policy decision, a lot are influenced by the citizens, so I do support you. But I'll also tell you, I have not worked with the Hillwood or Lupton till we met them first time on October 2018. That's the first time they invited us to their ranch to present the big picture. I know of Lupton and I respect the family and what they have been in this town, so I told Mr. Lupton I respect him and his family for what they've been in this town. Brian and Carlock and Hillwood, every interaction we had with them been professional. They've been upfront, honest. We always told them we are not agree on certain things, but that's just a part of professional disagreement, and because I represent the town and Brian has to take care of his company's interest. But I appreciate the professionalism and the expertise you bring to the table. I'm not going to repeat everything, but I'm just going to do two things just for councils and citizens though. We talked a lot about density, very important. We talked about density, right? Then we talked about, do we need active adult home in this community or not? That's a decision. Our comprehensive plans, I know the previous council members can attest to it, based on citizens' input, comprehensive plan has a provision to add active adult homes in Sunnyvale. It does not say it has to be in this area. So it says active adult home. We are told that we are getting older, our parents cannot afford to live in town because of large properties and they don't want to maintain. So as we move forward to the table, in my opinion, I'm going to support tabling this request because they worked almost a year and a half with us. I know they worked with the previous council prior to that one. So I'm in favor of working with them to make it work. Because I think for the town's interest, at least in my opinion, Hillwood is a good community to work with. This is just my opinion. So as we move forward, we have to think, do we want to support an active adult community in this neighborhood, in this area? That's a question. I'm going to give you a second thought of it. I don't speak for the school, but I'm a huge supporter of the school. I've always been a supporter of the school. And I know school talked about, and they worked with the school in their school's long-term planning. They have estimated, correct me wrong, 600 or some students coming from 800 acres of this property. The numbers may be exact, but close enough. So I think about a balloon, right? So we know the active adults, we can restrict the impact to school by number of students. So if you think about a balloon, right? If the active adults and traditional homes. If you have 0 active adults home, and if you keep the density as 1, as the requirement, then we are talking about 500 plus traditional homes in the neighborhood, and that's possible. Think about the impact to school, just one thought. The flip side, right, if you reduce the number of traditional homes and increase the active adults home, and that's that, then do we need active adults home? All I'm saying is, as we move forward, we have to be thinking about whether we support active adults home in this community. Just be thinking about it and the impact that to school. That's all I'm saying. With that, I have no more comments. Anything else from the council?
Mayor, I think we heard most of the comments tonight before. There's a couple of things I'd like some clarity on as we move forward, and maybe our attorney can help us on one of them. One has to do with the grandparent role. I think we're pretty familiar with that, but I'd like some clarity on
how that works.
No, well, the clarity on if it is deeded, will those people, does that deed supersede the state law in that their grandchildren would not be allowed to attend the school? I don't know that we are really clear on that topic. It's Sam, thank you for reminding us that, because we are very mindful of that. We've had a lot of discussions about that, but I think we need clarity legally on that topic so we know exactly where we stand. Second, to Sam's point, the sewer. I've not heard that discussion ever before. So do we have any sewer issues with connectivity of more homes into Garland? I haven't heard that, but I'd like to at least be sure we're good since that was brought up tonight. I think there's only 2 questions I have, but I'd just like clarity as we move forward to be sure to our residents' points, are we good with those?
And
I can
Brenda,
answer that question about the grandparents. You can't, if grandkids could go to school.
Brenda,
I checked with the school board a week ago.
We're going to get legal clarification on that from the state. Thank you.
I think it'd be, the clarification, but it probably needs to be substantial after school care. That's where in the board policy it talks about it, so just, I know you probably know that.
Right. And I just want to be sure, we want absolute clarity because we don't want more kids in our school, but we need to be sure that the decision we make is based on law, and we need that, so.
I can send you the email from the superintendent basing it on the law.
So, yeah.
I'll be happy to provide you.
No, I think we close the public hearing.
Yeah.
Council, additional discussions. So the applicant has requested to table this one. If the council decide to table this topic, I recommend 2 things. I recommend that we meet with the PNC. I'm assuming that the developer will come back with significant changes, not minor tweaks. And I recommend that we meet with the PNC and get their thoughts, perhaps a combined meeting. What's the earliest we can do in December? Don't want to get too close to the holidays, want to get what's the closest we can get.
December 9th is our council meeting, and that's what we were just discussing. Can it be on the same day as that, or does it need to be before?
I would not recommend it be on the same day because I think we want to allow for citizen
input,
participation.
yeah.
So, I'm sensitive to one of the residents mentioned don't get too close to the holidays, but I was going to suggest the 16th, which is the following Monday. I think we're still a little bit away from the holiday, but we would be able to dedicate, 3 to 4 hours to really having a robust
That's a Monday?
discussion. Yes, sir.
That
So
works for the planning zone commission, that's their standing meeting.
That's the standing meeting.
Yeah, so for attendance, that should work.
So council, if you decide to table it, the staff recommending December 16th, Monday, for a combined meeting with PNC and council.
And to clarify, if we meet jointly, we can take action to either approve or deny whatever they're presenting. Is that correct?
Yes.
On the 16th?
Yes, we will post it as a work session first with both in attendance, and then each body will have an opportunity to deliberate and act.
So that will include public comments and public inputs, correct?
That's correct, not during the work session, but at the
PNC and the council.
following, yes, at the meeting.
Okay.
All right, so just to clarify, the P&Z would get their vote, and then town council would get its own vote.
That's correct.
Being that it's at the P&Z meeting, does their vote supersede ours? If they vote no, then it
No.
doesn't come to us? So
No, it is,
both get a vote.
it is their report that they would be forwarding to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to ask that if it is going to be on the 16th, that a birthday cake be a part of that motion.
All one month. Okay, council, additional discussions, please. Okay, if there are no additional discussions, can I have a
Mayor and
motion?
council, yeah, Brenda was saying she cannot be here, but she said she would have somebody here.
Who can't be?
No, that's another, everybody has their night, and so, everyone, I have other responsibilities, and I make every city's regular meetings that I make, and special meetings if I can. So, I'm sorry for that, but I'll have someone here who's knowledgeable. Or any non-Monday or Tuesday of the month.
How about 17th?
Tuesday's the 17th.
Let me check, mine may be canceled on the 17th.
Otherwise, the 18th is a Wednesday, but we are getting close to the holidays, but
Mr. Carlock, do you have a comment?
18th.
I'm Wednesday or Thursday of that week, or the week before.
Can I only make a recommendation, just to maybe help with scheduling? And it might even be preferred, is that we have the workshop on the date that's identified and then roll to maybe the next regularly scheduled P&Z meeting and then the subsequent councils and not try to do it all. It seems a little ambitious to have gone through a lengthy workshop and P and Z be in a position that same night to make a decision. We won't have a chance to have digested the information at the workshop. So, and it may help with scheduling as well.
I would also agree with that because we have items already scheduled for that P&Z separate from this.
Okay, so what's your recommendation, Michelle?
If Brenda's available on the 17th or something.
Brenda, are you available on the 17th or just the 18th?
Just the 18th.
Okay, 18th.
What day?
18th
It's
is,
Wednesday.
what are you recommending for that?
Work session.
A work session, but no action items,
Right.
is what I think the applicant suggested. And then to the next P and Z meeting, and then,
When would that be, the next PNC session meeting?
That would be January
It's the 20th, Rashad.
21st. No, the 20th should be Martin Luther King Day. So it's typically, we have, that meeting is a Tuesday in January. Planning and Zoning Commission meets on a Tuesday in January.
so that's what date?
21st.
But I'm assuming they have a full plate that day, right?
No, I was saying December is a meeting that they've already have something scheduled. So to separate it makes sense. We're going to have a workshop, a joint workshop.
So 12/18, Wednesday, for a joint workshop,
Right.
then
And then y'all had mentioned that y'all would like them to go back to P&Z based on the results of that workshop, or will a decision be made at the workshop?
So what the applicant suggested was hold the joint workshop in December, and then let it come to the P and Z at its next regularly scheduled meeting, and then to the next council meeting after that.
Rashad, refresh my memory. Weren't there rule changes that actually sped up the process and once someone actually shows something to P&Z that if we don't deny by a certain time, it automatically becomes approved?
No.
No.
Okay.
That's with plats.
That's plats, okay.
We're good. No shot clock.
I'm sorry?
So, no shot clock on this issue. So the 18th, January 18th.
February, okay.
Excuse me, December 18th for the workshop. P&Z January 21st. Then it could come to council January 27th,
No, it would be February.
February.
Mr. Mayor, I do not feel like it's wise to take this thing into February. I want to drive this thing home as soon as possible. Let's hear their presentation. I have a real heartburn of taking this further into the new year.
We were planning on December 16th because that was when they were doing it. What if we do it just a little earlier than that? I mean, it still gives Hillwood a month to kind of come up with something. We do the workshop then P&Z can add that as an agenda item.
But I absolutely don't want anyone to think that we rushed this one,
Yeah.
right?
I don't think I can say 2 years is rushing.
So what?
I don't think I can say 2 years is rushing.
I got it, but it's going to be a significantly different plan, right? That's what we're hoping for.
So if we went early December 11th, it's the previous week. Are you available December 11th?
December 11th is what? That's the,
A Wednesday?
Yes.
I don't know, the applicant is going to be ready by that time, or it's too soon for you?
I think we could do it.
Yeah.
Well,
So, Susan, come back with the recommendation one more time.
So we could do December 11th for the workshop.
Okay?
That would allow, Rashad, it wouldn't allow for P&Z to relook at it, would it?
No, but they could then have their meeting on what day?
In January,
So
based on,
it still doesn't get you there.
I'm just thinking notification, and I'll lean on you on this. I won't know what to notice for in regards to it going back to P&Z in time. So it would have to go to the January meeting in order to provide proper notice.
So assuming that it's going to come back with a less intense request,
Yeah.
you would not be required to renotice
Okay.
under the notice requirements. So you could, the P and Z meets when in December?
16.
So if you met on the 11th in a joint meeting, then the P and Z could consider it at its meeting on the 16th. You could go ahead and post the agenda with that item.
Right.
And then the council could consider it at your first meeting in January, which would be what date?
The 13th.
The 13th. Unless you wanted to hold a special meeting in January
So
before that,
when will PNC look at it?
would be December the 16th.
So the joint workshop,
On the 11th,
11, so citizens can participate.
yes. Well,
I
if it's
can-
just a work session with no action,
Okay,
public comment is not required under the act.
okay.
But we can allow it.
You can allow it, but it's
Okay.
not required.
So that
And
is
then-
that. Then February, December,
11th, and then P and Z on the 16th of December.
and the council action on
The
January
13th of
13th.
January.
Unless you did a special call if you felt the need.
Right.
But otherwise, that'd be the
Yeah,
next schedule.
I don't necessarily want to rush it. I want to give citizens enough time to think through it, look at it. That's not too much in the holiday season either, right? So council, what are your thoughts? So the thought presented is joint workshop with public attendance on 12/11, PNC on 12/16, and council on January 13th. You will not be on one again?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Did you say what, Jennifer Seegan?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Mr. Freeman, that date sounds okay?
The date sound fine. My question is, so it goes to P and Z on the 16th, P and Z approves it, comes to council, P and Z does not approve it, does not come to council.
They can
They
approve.
can come to council.
They can go
Up to the council at that time
Right.
still, right? Well, hopefully by 11, that's a pretty good discussion between council and PNC with the citizens in, so. Mr. Allen and Mr. Finn, those dates, does it look workable to you at this time?
I'm out on the 11th, but I think the workshop has to continue. The workshop's not contingent on us being there. So I'm out on the 11th.
You're out on 11, how about you, Mr. Finn?
I'm on the 13th.
You're out on January 13th? Do you want to do a special session on January 20th?
On Friday?
No, 20th is a Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at December.
It's a holiday.
I'm trying to get every council member on office on holiday.
It's a holiday.
I'm lucky this
It's a holiday.
So what?
Martin Luther King Day.
It's a holiday?
Today's Veterans Day.
So
That's a holiday, I don't want to be,
you could go earlier in January than the 13th.
I'm out.
you're out 5th or 16th? Okay, give me a date.
Anytime other than schedule the 16th.
I didn't say that. Council,
21st?
21st is a Tuesday.
December 20, January 21st is a Tuesday. Does that work for anybody?
That's the P and Z meeting.
So Wednesday, the 22nd.
22nd.
I could attend.
What?
Might as well not.
Won't work for it either? January 22nd, is that a date, good date for everybody?
That's not a Monday.
That's a Wednesday.
I'm here.
Okay.
Your next
I have-
regular meeting is the 27th of January.
I have a problem with having meetings with significant votes like this on special meetings.
It makes sense for it to be the 27th.
It makes sense for it to be the 21st.
No.
Because that's a regularly scheduled meeting, that's when everybody has time.
13th and
Or the
27th.
20th, okay.
13th and 27th are the regular meetings.
Then it needs to be on a regular meeting night. For a vote of this significance, it needs to be on a regularly scheduled meeting night.
What's that?
I kind of think they agree.
So 27th is a good date. Anybody disagree? Staff okay with the 27th?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm hearing is joint workshop on December 11th, going to PNC on 12/16, and council consideration on January 27th.
Can I throw one caveat? I apologize for doing this. If we're going to push it back to January the 27th, it shouldn't have to be on P&C's agenda for December 16th. They should be able to take it their January meeting since their agenda for the 16th is already set.
January 20th is their meeting.
You don't have to renotice. You can do the 22nd. For P&C.
I'd like to catch our residents.
Well, 21st is a holiday.
No, the 21st.
Oh, 21st. You can do the 21st for P&C.
Which,
It's up to you.
So I think Freeman is good with the December 16th.
yeah, I mean, we can keep December 16th if that's, we think that's best.
So that way citizens get 3 bites at it, right?
Right. The 11th, the 16th, and then our meeting on the 27th.
Okay. If
So-
the- Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, if there's a motion, I would like for that motion to have the council also vote to send it back to the P&Z for its reconsideration on this schedule, and then subsequent consideration by the council.
Okay. So the motion, okay, council, do you have a motion? Let me ask that question.
Mayor, I have a motion to table the decision on agenda item number 10, send it back to planning and zoning.
But you have joint workshop, right?
No, we'll send it back to planning and zoning where we will hold a joint workshop on December the 11th, so they can vote on it on the 16th, December 11th, so they can vote on it on December 16th, and it will hit our council agenda on January 27th.
So motion made by Mr. Freeman to table the agenda item to be brought back for a joint workshop between PNC and council on December 11th, to be sent to PNC for their consideration on December 16th, and to be included on the council agenda on January 27th. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Council, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Freeman, second by Egan, to table the agenda item and to proceed with the further meetings.
Mr. Mayor, to clarify, the workshop will be open to the public?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It will be open to the public for attendance. Public comments will be in the PNC session, is that right?
That's correct.
That's the right
You
approach.
can allow them at the work
I'm
session.
sorry?
I thought they would be able to talk at the workshop.
Yeah, it's not required.
It's not required.
Can be
Comments can be allowed?
Mr.
The
Mayor,
comments can be
we're
allowed.
requesting to make comment, if allowed, at the workshop.
That's,
So- Mayor,
one second, I want to get the legal.
I apologize, but if the public is going to speak, they need to be recognized by the chair. The council needs to reopen public comment, and they need to come to the podium, because
So I'm getting
city
public.
secretary is required to keep the minutes.
Okay. So no more public comments, please. Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Okay, council, there is a motion and a second.
So just to clarify, we are going to allow public comment at the meeting on December 11th.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that going to be after or during the discussion? I mean, do we care? Or is there?
We'll find the right time.
Yeah,
We got-
because it's not required by state law, you may choose when you want to allow public comments. You can also put time limits on those comments
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess I'm confused because I thought there'd be participation in that. So they're not going to be participating.
So let me try to restate it, right? Brenda's saying that it's not required, but we can allow, so we are going to allow it, right? So assumption is the applicant will have their revised plan available and submit to the town. Then the joint workshop will be discussing that revised plan on 11th. And public comments will be received.
Who from the town is going to oversee that workshop?
It's a joint workshop between council and PNC,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
That clear to everybody?
I want to be sure they have a chance to.
So public comments will be received?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I want to be sure.
Yes, yes, okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there additional discussions? All in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 5-0. Mr. Clark and Mr. Day are absent.
Take a break.
Moving on to next agenda item. Item number 11. Consider and act upon a request by Majed Khalaf to approve a minor plat for the 650E Trip Addition at or about 650 East Trip Road. Mr. Jackson?
Mayor, Council, the applicant is a representative for a 10-acre property located at 650 East Trip Road. Property resides in single family SF1 zoning district, which requires a 2-acre minimum lot size. The existing parcel dimensions and proposed modified setbacks adhere to the dimensional standards for the SF1 zoning district. The acreage is 10 acres as noted. The property is just being...
I can hear you. Is the mic on?
I don't think it mic's working.
Okay.
The property... The property is just being platted so that they can prepare for development for a single family home.
The 10-acre for single family students? Okay. Council, members of the audience, is there any public comments at this time on item number 11? Please come forward. No one is coming forward, so I'm going to close the public comments. Council, are there any questions on agenda item 11? If not, can I have a motion with respect to agenda item 11?
Motion to approve agenda 11 as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Finch to approve 11 as presented. So second. Second by Mr. Freeman. Everyone heard the motion? Additional discussions? Yes?
We're having a little bit of hard time hearing. Okay. Now we're good.
Thank you. All in favor signify. All opposed. Motion passed 5-0. Council 9:16. Let's take a 10-minute break.
Am I going 14 pounds of fat and flesh? I mean, yeah, fatty. That makes sense.
I defended you.
Thank you.
Some guys have
You're not
Rachel has all the dates.
16 is P&Z.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Everybody? Yes, sir. I don't know. Time is 9:32. I'm going to reconvene the regular session for November 11th.
Mayor, I think all those people should come back and stay.
Okay, we are on item number 12 to discuss, consider, and act upon the second reading of ordinance 19-31, an ordinance amending ordinance 19-20, which made appropriations for the support of the town of Sunnyvale for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2019 and ending September 30th, 2020, and amending the annual budget of the town of Sunnyvale for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, special revenue fund and utility fund. Mr. Ramsey?
Mayor and council, this is the same ordinance that you heard on October the 28th, and there were no changes made. If y'all have any questions, staff's happy to answer those, myself and Liz.
Okay. I'm going to open the public comments at this time. If anyone from the audience would like to come forward and speak to the council about item number 12, you may do so. No one is coming forward, so I'm going to close the public comment section. Council, are there any questions or discussions on item number 12? If there are none, I'm going to call for a motion on item number 12.
Mayor, make a motion to approve item number 12 as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Freeman to approve item number 12 as presented. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Finch. Everyone heard the motion? All in favor signify. All opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Mr. Clark and Mr. Wade are absent. Moving on to item number 30, discuss, consider, and act upon upon resolution 19-445, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Sunnyvale, Texas, canvassing returns and declaring results of the special election held on November 5th, 2019 for the purpose of voting on one proposition and providing a severability clause. My understanding is, Mr. Ramsey, the results are not available yet. So the request is to table it for the November 14th meeting or 17th?
Thursday, yes, Thursday, November 14th at 6.
So okay, I'm going to open a public comments on this one. Now I'm coming forward, so I'm going to close the public comments. Council, are there any discussions on this topic?
Mayor, I'm not 100% for sure, but I probably will not be here on Thursday.
Yes. Do we have enough, will we have quorum?
So it actually only takes 2 council members to canvass the election. So if you didn't want to have a meeting and the city secretary could find 2 council members to come up and canvass the election, you could do it that way. So as long as we have a quorum available.
And quorum is 2?
No, a quorum is 4. But if you want to have a meeting. But if you don't want to have a meeting, 2 members can canvass the election.
Okay, so council, can you be here, 4 people can be here on 14th?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, do you need 4 people?
No,
Yes.
you only need 2.
To make quorum in it 4.
That's right.
But we don't need a quorum.
You don't need a quorum, is what he's
You
saying.
only need 2 people.
You need 2 people to canvass the election.
So you don't need a meeting or you need a meeting?
Why are you
Mayor-
guys
Mayor Pro
wincing?
Tem gets to come up and canvass the election.
Even with the item that we're canvassing, the specificity of the resolution we need to pass?
I think that's right. But if the more conservative approach is to have 4 members present
Okay,
and
conservative approach.
convene a meeting and
Mr.
vote.
Wade is out that day for
I feel
sure.
better given what we're canvassing. She's right legally, but are you 4 going to be here?
I have 4 that will be here. The only 2 that said that they cannot is Egan and Wade.
Okay.
So we have 5.
Right.
We should
I'm
have
out.
5.
I will be out actually if you do it at 6.
That's not what your email said.
No more chocolate for you.
That's not what your email said.
No, it's changed.
But it's okay, as long as we have Freeman, George, Allen, and Clark said he would be here.
Okay, good.
We have
No
done
problem, let me
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's a
we
problem.
have to confirm that Clark will.
Rachel.
No,
He
Rachel,
texted me today.
Rachel says it's a problem to
I
him.
don't believe.
Okay, it's a problem.
Okay, council can I have a motion to table this topic to the meeting of Thursday, November 14th.
Motion to table item 13 to the meeting on Thursday, the 14th.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Freeman, second by Allen to table item number 13 for the November 14th meeting. Everybody heard the motion? Are there additional discussions? All in favor signify. All opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Moving on to item number 14. Discuss, consider, and act upon the purchase of 13 police vehicle through Dart City in McKinney. Chief, would that be Chief?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. And so we researched several different vehicles, Dodge Charger, Dodge Durango, Pursuit, both Pursuit rated, Sport Explorer, and Tahoe. So we came to the conclusion that budget-wise and officer safety-wise, that the Durango is just the overall best pick for us. And so that's what we're requesting we go with. I think the price point on them is $32,000 and some change per vehicle, unequipped. I got a quote on the equipment today around $12,500, in line with all the other quotes that we're getting.
So Chief, this is the vehicles typically used by the police departments?
Yes, it's a pursuit-rated police package with certain things like heavy-duty shocks, heavy-duty brakes, built specifically for patrol purposes.
So this is all the vehicles we need to start up a police department?
Yes, sir.
Are we going to stagger it? Because we don't start the police department for a while, so we're going to buy it now and we're going to wait.
We can stagger it, it's up to you guys. We can't guarantee availability if we do that, and the price is going to go up after November.
What?
We test drive.
And we just store them?
Sorry.
We just store the vehicles?
Well, we're gonna start, we gotta rig them out and stripe them and put the equipment in them. So it's gonna take some time, that's why we've gotta get them in.
Okay. You're the chief, you know all that I do, I respect you.
So is there a strategy for staggering? I mean, you're having to buy them all now, but do you have kind of a vision of what going forward, what the staggering would be? Or you would use one over another in order to get some staggering so that...
We'll have to, our plan is to hire a sergeant, so we'll have to get 4 ready minimum. The admin vehicles, like the one I drive, is only gonna require a radio and a few lights, so it's not gonna have all that equipment in it. So yeah, they'll be stored probably at the PD, and we'll rig out, 4 at a time as we hire people.
So you'll automatically start getting a staggering that's happening.
Yes, sir.
So that we're not
That is-
having to buy 4 every year and a half or whatever that time.
No, we'll base, we're buying a large amount at the onset, so.
And we have a vehicle replacement.
Well, that's
plan.
kind of where I was going,
Right,
but you still don't want them to hit all at the same time.
Absolutely, but there are parameters that we put in to determine how long a vehicle's gonna last, whether it's mileage, whether it's the amount of money you put into repairs. There are criteria that go into determining when it gets replaced. We've also looked at enterprise offers of management and vehicle replacement. Right now, we have not chosen to move forward with it right this minute because we're looking at how it is impacted by our large equipment and like our parks equipment, things like that, because that's all part of our fund. So there's quite a bit that goes into it, but yes, absolutely, we're looking at the long-term replacement plan. Typically, we're looking at, 5 years on a vehicle such as this, but it's just going to really depend upon the mileage and the idle time, because that's a factor as well. So, I think Andrew and I had talked quite a bit about this, about, okay, when we place this order, and we're trying to move quickly because of the great price we're getting, are they all going to come in at one time? We don't know that right now. How many he has in stock, how many he may be having to order from the factory. So right there, we could be creating some staggering just on its own. Plus, the equipping time to get, all of the work done on it, the lights, everything that needs to happen. That's not we're not taking 13 and it's done in a day. That's going to create some type of staggering as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely a consideration, but I think that it's going to happen somewhat naturally.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. Chief, for a second. Sit down. Take a seat for a second. Public comments. It's time for public comments. If anyone from the audience would like to come forward and speak to the council, please do so. No one is coming forward, so I'm going to close the public comment section. Council, any questions for Chief? Good job, Chief. If not, can I have a motion with respect to item number 14?
Motion to approve item number 14 as presented.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Freeman, second by Mr. Finch to approve item number 14 as presented. Everyone heard the motion? Are there additional discussions? All in favor signify. All opposed? Motion passed 5-0. Moving on to item number 15. Receive a status update regarding the timeline on implementation of the police department. Chief?
So a lot of mundane things happening this week. We have a lot of things we're getting done. A lot of it was mentioned in the weekly update from the town manager. But the 2 most important thing is we're waiting on our licensing, and we're pretty much in a holding pattern with the state. We can't really do anything until they call me. Lieutenant Cannella did call me last week and assured me they were going through the application and looking through our policies, and that he would give me a call sometime this week and he'll set up our on-site. So I hopefully by Friday I'll be able to let the town manager know when they're going to show up. So with that being said, while we're waiting for them, we're working on some infrastructure stuff at the PD. It's going to be a big week for us as far as getting that done. our carpet, commercial carpet's going to be installed in the room that we're basically turning into a functioning police department while DSO stays in the rest of the building. So once the carpet's in, we'll be able to secure some of our evidence processing area, and then we're installing some 4 cubicles that will function as report writing stations for the officers. But before that, they're going to double as the sergeant's desk when we get them hired. And what else? We're working with Axios to drop in the internet lines and the phone lines, and install some door closers, and that room will be pretty functionable at that point.
Thank you, Chief. I'm going to take public comments at this time. Anyone from the audience would like to come forward, please come do so at this time. No one is coming forward, so I'm going to close the public comments. Council, are there any questions for Chief on item number 15?
Good job, Chief.
If there are no comments, can I have a motion with respect to item number 15?
Motion as a,
To accept the report, I suppose.
Yeah,
It's it's not really an action item.
That is true. Thank you. Thank you for the update, Chief. Moving on to the item number 16, Mayor and Council request for future staff updates and agenda items.
Can we get an update? I'm not sure where we are on Tripp Road. I know it's not, I don't know if it's on our list or not, as far as, I've received several comments about how it's pretty rough. And so I don't know if it's on our schedule or not, from like Beltline to
Tripp Road? Force, right?
the Tripp Road, Beltline to maybe Jobson.
Force, maybe?
Maybe, yes, sure. To the falls. I don't know where we are, so I was just curious if we could get an update on that, because I have received
Yes, I'll
several
give you one.
comments on it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are there additional requests for future staff updates for agenda items? Okay, now I'm going to the very final item for tonight. That is to adjourn. Council, can I have a motion to adjourn the regular council session for November 11th?
Motion adjourned.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn to adjourn. Second. And second by Freeman to adjourn the regular session for November 11th. All in favor of the motion? Mr. Egan, your support, or do you want to stay?
I'm going to get my birthday cake now. You'll stay here.
Motion approved 5-0. Now time is 9:47. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
hide these from my.
Council.